Hey everyone, and welcome back to Miranda Pitrone Art. It's been so long since I've done a full tutorial, and this one's gonna be actually kind of quick, but it'll be fun because it's fall and there's lovely leaves out, and I think that this will be an enjoyable one for us to do. I wanted to just quickly bounce over here to Pinterest because one of the main things that people ask me has been, how do I come up with the color choices that I use? And sometimes it just comes to me. Sometimes I see something out and about, but a lot of times if I'm stuck, I come here to Pinterest and I just start to curate ideas of colors that I'm in the mood to use. So you can see these are some rich fall colors. I must have really liked this one because that looks the same. And I usually have the latest ones that I'm doing here on my Pinterest page, which is color palettes. Yay! So I hope you find that helpful as a little quick tip to kind of get some inspiration, because there are some gorgeous things on Pinterest. Absolutely beautiful. So with that being said, let's get started on our project for today. Okay, so this is what our little leaf is going to look like before it's varnished. And then I just took the cutout, which were unfinished wood, and then I painted them black. I do both sides. I don't know why. You don't have to do the back as well. I just like black better than the unfinished wood. So I'm going to be using different tools. This is an acrylic rod, and it is about 1/2 inch in diameter. So that's going to be the start of our little design here, as we're going to dip it in the rose gold. And notice there's like a little string hanging from that. The rose gold I have right now is one of the extreme sheens. So it's a little bit heavier, stickier than just the regular paints. Now I have the angled paintbrush and white. Actually, I take that back. This is oyster beige. And I'm just going to go around that 1/2 inch dot that we placed here to start our design. Now you can do like the plus sign if you want to make sure that you get these symmetrical. I guess I've just been doing this for so long I don't think about it anymore as far as spacing. They usually turn out all right. But you could do a plus sign and then start filling in on the angles, and then you'll make sure that you have symmetrical dots going around this. This is the etcher tool, and I'm just going to tuck some little white dots in here to just kind of brighten it up a little in between the oyster beige dots that we just put down. Now you can do all these with whatever tools you have. You're just, adjust for the size, so pick the smallest one you have for these little dots. But things in your home can even be used for painting as well. So a mechanical pencil, you can dip the lead and dot the end of a paintbrush. People used to use the end of crochet hooks or whatever they'd find and just dip and paint. So I just want to kind of make sure that I can get the design here going up the points of the leaves. So you're going to have to kind of adjust for the angle of the cutout that you have. So this extreme sheen is awesome paint, but like I said, it is a little bit thicker, and you could thin it a little bit with a flowing medium, and that won't really disrupt the color. But I'm just using it as is right out of the bottle. And this, see, flips over. That's what you want to be careful. So you just have to take your time when you pull it straight up. If there's like a string attached, you have to let it drop back down into the dot that you're doing. Like that. I was being rushed. But I can show you how to fix that in just a minute. So this is the silicone oval dotting tool. And it makes these great little ovals with the silicone end. The other end makes these sweet little petals. It is a little more challenging with the extreme sheens. Your paint does need to be a little bit thinner to work right. That's the fun of just going on the adventure with the paints. So let's fix that little drip over there. Now, one of the things about having a background color is what makes the cleanup easier. So most times if that's a thicker amount of paint, I would scrape it off. But I'm just probably going to wet a paintbrush here and just kind of wipe it off a little bit. You can use silicone tools too to scrape off the paint. That's helpful. And this extreme sheen is so glittery. I'm going to have to probably go over it once or twice with a little bit more of my background color here, which is just black. I just want to kind of make sure I get the most out of it that I can, but also the surface is porous because this is wood. And then I'm just going to let that dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to take my etcher tool here and just show how you can walk dots around something. This is what people are calling walking the dots. So you just start at the top, and as you work your way down and around, the paint runs off the tool, so you have less and less and less as you go, and your dots will just automatically get smaller. Okay, so this is just my brown. We're just gonna do one ring of that around here. We're gonna go around each of the ovals with a ring of the brown. This video is taking a second to look like my eyesight. The focus of my new camera is adjusting on its own. There we go. All right, so this is the angled paint brush, the angled spot detailer that I use. I'm just using some bright coral in here to kind of break up those brownish tones. You can use your dotting tools for that as well. I just chose to grab the brush. But it's really versatile. You can use your tools. Happy Dotting's got a good set out too. Okay, so now with the second smallest dotting tool, I'm going to go around with some more of that oyster beige. I'm going to do both sides. This is just a muscle memory thing. I'm just going to do one side, then I'll turn it and do the other. At the top, you have the largest dot, and then again, it's the same with the other tool. You just work your way around, and the paint will run off your tool, and the dots will get smaller. So the wood is soaking this up. You can see sometimes the dots were a little uneven. You can varnish the wood ahead of time and then it won't soak in so much of your paint. And that might assist you with that too. That's just a little tip. Sometimes too I get too much paint, and for the few amount of dots that we're going around a piece, I can just kind of drop some paint off on a palette or a paper towel quick with the first dot, and then it starts the second dot a little bit smaller. This is about the 1.5 millimeter ball end of the stylus. And we're just putting a third row in here. So it went the brown, the oyster beige, and now I'm on white. And you can see the angled tools will hold a little bit more paint. So if you're just doing the straight dotting stylus, you might not be able to get as many dots out of it. So you might have to redip and dot again. So see on that one, I started back in the first dot just to grab some paint and dot down. And it kind of helps even out the sizing so that they're symmetrical on both sides. Mostly. This one we're going to go off the grid a little bit because of the shape of our leaf, and then the dots, if this was a continuous pattern, would end up back down the bottom there. Okay, going back to our lovely bright coral. Okay, so I'm going to grab the silicone oval dotting tool again. And I'm going to use copper here at each section of the leaf. We're going to put an oval at the top of each one of these. In just the large sections. When it comes down to the bottom sides, we'll continue the color, but I'm not going to use this large. It would just kind of create a mess. You can't really, like I could put a partial oval down there, but I think it'll look better if we just continue the color with a smaller shape. I'll wait and think about that, but I'm definitely not going to do the oval there because it's just too large for those little tiny sections at the base of the leaf. So let's kind of come down here at the smaller points at the bottom of the leaf, and I'm just going to do 2 dots and then drag them out with my etching tool. Sometimes you can take it with the dotting stylus and pull it out, but I think this is just too small of a space to get the tail small enough. So I'm going to grab the etcher tool and you're just going to kind of tease it out into a point. Brushes will work, liner brushes can work for this as well. And just kind of pull it out. So see, this is where if I had varnished my leaf first, it would spread smoother too, just as a tip, because you can see it feathering into the wood a little bit. It's because the paint is soaking into this piece of wood. But varnishing first would stop that. It just facilitates you pulling the swipes out into the little tail. Okay. And that was the copper again, because we just wanted to kind of continue on with the color. Okay, so I put a teeny bit of white in my coral, and this, I accidentally broke the ball off of the end of this tool and just grabbed it by accident here to use. But you can see it's kind of pointy at the end. But it was just one of those same kind of styluses that just when I was bending it, the ball broke off. So I have some of those laying around that here and there I grabbed to use, but I would have rather just used the small dotting tool stylus. The 1mm would have worked just fine. See, because it's broken, it's kind of sharp on the end. It didn't get the good size dots, the good uniform dots like we like. Okay, and I'm going to carry some more of that brown here. And you can see it's just a tad lighter. I just toss a little dash of white in with it to kind of change that up a little. And so we did a ring of coral, a ring of brown. And notice I'm not stressing out that these are lined up perfectly. I'm trying to kind of coordinate it up into the leaf points. And that's just one of the ways that you can work within a confined shape like this. It's just to kind of accommodate your design by changing it up a little bit. Like we're going to do it different on the bottom than the top points because the bottom points are smaller. Or like this area here has the hole for the ribbon to hang the ornament or gift tag or whatever you want to use these for. So it's just kind of a mini challenge working within the confines of the shape. And mostly what it ends up being, I feel, is with art, you just want to keep the colors in the areas that you'd like the colors. So it doesn't have to be the same amount of dots around. It doesn't have to be the same shape. I could do diamonds up top or, you know, squares or whatever you want to do to change it up each time. We really have to let go of the fact that we are not machines. It's just meant to be relaxing and enjoyable. Pick out your favorite colors and then just put them down on a piece. It's fairly simple in theory. I know sometimes this feels complicated, but keeping basic colors and not feeling like you have to use 40 colors or starting off small, like this leaf is about 3 inches. You know, it's a small area, but you can see how well the colors work in certain spaces that way. All right, so I'm grabbing the 3mm dotting stylus and I really just overloaded it here with the copper. And see, these aren't ovals because this is the smaller side, but you're bringing that color to kind of keep the color symmetrical throughout the mandala as opposed to worrying about all the bits and pieces matching perfectly. So this is the etcher tool, and I'm just going to go around these little copper dots with a little bit of coral. And that's something too. If you start off with a color in the center, I like to continue each kind of section or ring of the mandala as you move out. I just kind of like to use similar colors. Or if you're just making it a superior contrast or some sort of ombre, like just keep that in mind. If you use green in the center and you want to use multiple colors, going green to blue to purple, let's say, then don't carry it throughout each ring. Just keep it segmented and that'll give you a whole nother look. And it looks like I kind of got off the screen here a little bit, but I switched to our brown. And I'm just going to do a ring of that nice chocolate brown around the coral from each of these as well. So just like we did on the ovals, we started with a coral ring, then a brown, and then went to the oyster beige. And I'm still using the etcher tool. I could use the brushes. They're small enough to fit in this area, or you can use a really small stylus. But the point on this is that we want to kind of tuck them into the smaller space there. And again, you can see some of the feathering on the dots going like as they soak into the wood. So it is not a perfect circle shape. So again, you just remember you can varnish first and fix that. Okay, so I mixed the coral with just a little bit of the metallic pearl to give it a little bit of shine here. I honestly don't know if Deco Art makes a metallic orange, or coral. So you just mixed it with a little of the pearl white here. You can see the sheen, and it is a little bit thicker. So I'm just being cognizant about putting that dot in there. And it'll dry flat. It just peaked at first. Okay, so looking at it on the screen, I kind of can decipher if I want more colors in certain areas too. So I'm going to go grab that brown again with the 3mm, and on either side of those metallic-y looking orange ones that we made, just tuck a little bit of brown in here. All right, so now I'm just kind of considering, I'm going to just dot into this hole here, and we'll do a round of white around the outside of the oyster beige. And then I think as far as the mandala outskirts out here with shaping the design, I'm just going to do a fill with like a chocolate brown metallic or espresso, something like that, to just kind of fill in the outskirts of the leaf. But we will get to that, I'll show you. So you can see too with your designs, if you have darker colors on the internal and then you finish it off with white, it kind of delineates each round on the design as well. Same with flipping the contrast, starting light in the middle and going to dark. It's just fun to play with the colors and just kind of see what they'll do. So don't feel constrained to this. You can always do another one. Or flip it over, paint that side black, and do it all over again. So working within this shape too, it's kind of as if you think about it as a full design, and then we just punched the shape of the leaf out of it. Like you had the design already painted on a square, and then you just cut it out. So there'll be bits of where you only see parts of dots, or you can't fit all the design in. It's just kind of working with that and making sure that your colors are visible. So I ended up going with the multi-surface chocolate metallic for this one. And it's just haphazardly filling in the outskirts here because I don't want it to look really at all like it's part of the design. I just didn't want to just leave it black, and then I also want to make it seem like it's a full leaf. So those are just some of the things that go through my head when I'm doing this. I have fur on my stylus. Not fur, it's hairs from the rag I used to wipe it off. See, there's not a rhyme or reason to size, just kind of haphazardly. It's all one color, so it's gonna just add to your design, but not draw your eye away from the design. So if I'd gone bright orange or some other, it probably would have tied it in as well. But if you stay uniform with the color and don't make it look like part of the design, then it'll help with the fill work. And I'm also using the largest stylus, so I'm letting the paint run off, do some large ones, do some smaller dots, and just haphazardly just tuck them in there. And you could actually come back in with another smaller one and fill in between if you wanted more density to it. But just so you get an idea of filling that area with a color as opposed to design. I did this setup at my dining room table, so the camera angles and stuff are a little different than I'm used to working with. So I apologize for moving around, but it kind of gives you all the idea of painting with me at my table. Okay, so now all we really have left is the stem down here. And I'm going to take the etcher tool. And now, as I said before, we're going to continue color. So we just used that chocolate extreme sheen metallic at the top for our fill. And then I just want to kind of close off the design by carrying it to this side. And I'm just going to do 3 little swipes along here to just delineate the stem area. And then we'll go the opposite direction with our contrast color of that oyster beige. And just tuck them right in. There we have our cozy fall leaf. The rose gold is so rich. It's just awesome. I love the way it looks. So this is still unvarnished, but once I put a high gloss varnish on it, it will shine again too. Hope you had fun doing this with me. It's great to have a minute to come back and paint with y'all for a bit. And as always, I hope that you have a great day and happy painting. See you again soon.